Stuart, Sethre. I live in Newfoundland at 147 West 5th Street.
And which war did you serve in?
World War II.
What was your branch of service?
Navy.
What was your rank?
Third class petty officer.
Where did you serve?
And in the Hawaiian Islands most of the time.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
Oh, I enlisted.
When you enlisted, where were you living at the time?
In Newfoundland.
Do you recall your first days of service? And if so, what were they like?
Very nice. I mean, I shouldn't say very nice. I was lucky. I went to Great Lakes, which is a very good station, and had firefighting and boat learning, and very little marching. So I was kind of lucky in that.
What was your boot camp experience like?
What a what?
Your boot camp experience?
Yeah, that wasn't too bad. As long as you didn't volunteer for anything, you were okay. If you volunteered for something, you'd get a wheelbarrow to drive around in it for the Navy.
So where exactly did you go when you were in the Navy?
So when I left Great Lakes, I came home for 10 days, and then they transferred me to the transfer center in Shoemaker, California. And from there, they transferred me to Hawaii Island at IEA, which is the transfer center to South Pacific.
What year was that when you enlisted?
I enlisted in 1945 May. No, it was March.
So what was your job and assignment in Hawaii?
As soon as I got there, I had to answer 125 questions. And then the next day, I went out there and at IEA, where we served, where the transfer center was. And I was one of the first 5 named called on this to report so-and-so. And the reason I got called, I've been titled. And they wanted me to go to the office down at the Hawaiian. So I got stationed at John Rogers Air Force Base.
Did you see any combat?
No actual combat, no.
Tell me a few of your most memorable experiences while you were there.
Oh boy, let's see. I'll never forget the trip over. The trip over. It was one day out of Oakland, California. We hit rough waters, and I can still remember that. I had fire watch from 12 to 4, and. I left her down, all the way down to the bottom of the ship. We came up again, and I tell you, I got seasick. So I didn't make it down too many times, but as soon as I got up on top side, I was okay. And that's one thing I can remember. And probably, as a whole, though, I had a pretty good doing.
How did you stay in touch with your family back home?
By letter.
Were you married at that time, or?
No, I'm single, but I did. Another thing I'm going to tell you, though, in April they had that typhoon or whatever it was over in Hilo, Hawaii. The day before that, I and my friend were going to take a test out. And for the airplane, they test motors, so they go overhaul. We went over to Hilo, Ohio, and we were going to stay overnight and come back when we got over there, and there was nothing to do. So we decided to go home again that night, and the next morning the Hilo, Ohio got that storm, and hundreds were wiped out, so we just left. So that's about the worst.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you wrote letters to your family. What was your living conditions like there? I mean, do you remember what the food was like? Or
we have real good food. Yeah.
did you have enough supplies where you were at?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Did you?
Coffee was cold. And no fresh milk, which I missed.
Yeah. Did you feel any pressure or stress while you were there? Was it stressful?
Not really, no. A little bit, not much. After the war was over, then of course it was more like a vacation.
How did people entertain themselves while they were there?
What
How did you entertain yourself?
Well, the first 2-3 months we toured on Liberty. I got to be in the personnel office, so I made my own Liberty card. So I could have Liberty whenever I wanted to. I mean, but after the first couple of months, I traveled all over the island and seen everything, and after that it was nothing. So I spent a lot of time at the beach.
So, did you travel anywhere while you were in the service other than?
Just from there to Hilo and back in on that one trip.
Okay. How long did that take?
Oh, that didn't take more than about it was 2 hours. I supposed to fly from Hilo to Hilo.
Oh, okay. How long were you in the service?
I was only in there 16 months.
Okay.
I enlisted for the duration of the war plus 6 months.
Okay. Do you remember what it was like the day that your service ended?
Ended?
Yeah.
Well, I remember when the war ended in Japan. Mm-hmm. We were up in Hawaii, and we were watching the Charlie Chan movie. And this is about 8 o'clock in the evening. And we could see Pearl Harbor and Hickory Field and John Rogers Field all stretched out there from the movie theater. And about 8 o'clock there, we seen a flare come on Pearl Harbor on one of the boats down there. And we kind of looked over there, and then pretty soon another flare came up. And we started looking, and then pretty soon the next ship, the flares come up. And within 5 minutes at the harbor, every boat in the harbor was the flares up. So we didn't know if we could be attacked or what was going on there. But anyway, it ended up that when the war ended, they announced it on the speaker then about 5 minutes. So,
wow, that must have been an incredible sight.
Really a beautiful sight, the whole harbor.
So from that time, how long did it take you to get back home? Did you have?
I was in there. Back it was over in August, and then we got back in the following July.
Did you work or go back to school after that?
I went back to school.
Okay.
For 2 years.
Okay. And where did you go to school at?
Concordia College.
Okay. Did you make any close friendships while you were at?
Yes, we made a couple of them, but they were far away. I never did. One was in Virginia, and one was in Iowa. So I never did I mean, they were close, you know. Mm-hmm. A lot of nice people.
When you were done and you were home, did you join any veterans organizations?
I joined the reserve for 8 years after I got out.
Okay.
And then I got married in the meantime, and then when my second term was up, I just got out of it.
What did you do as a career after the war?
I bought a grocery store. My folks had a grocery store there in town here, and after I drove school bus for 13 years, along with working at the grocery store in morning.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about war and the military in general? Did it change your mind about anything? Or?
No, not really.
Yeah.
It's just kind of disgusting to listen to some of these people, you know, when they're against a lot of things. So when I think back, you know, and I go and see what a lot of these servicemen went through. I didn't have to go through it, but a lot of them do. I thought, kind of, you know, make me kind of sick to the stomach, you know, and the way they bellyache, you know. So I'm looking 100% for the service.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to this interview that you haven't told me yet?
Okay, when I came over, we left, and there's a 5-day trip there. And on the way, right before we come into Pearl Harbor, we shot the 5-inch gun, which was only a few feet to my right, and it went off, and I'll tell you, it just knocked me sideways. I said, and my head rang and it rang, and finally, about 5 minutes later, they had somebody come around and hand me cotton to put in my ears. So it hit when the gun went off. And to this day, I'm only 10% in one ear and about 50 in the other ear.
So ever since then?
That's the only thing I got against the Navy is they should have had cotton in my ear before. But that was, yeah, and it lasted. I had ringing in my ear. Well, now I still got ringing in my ears, but I don't notice it anymore. So that's, I don't know, Hawaiian is a beautiful place. Never gets any warmer than 96, never any cooler than 76. And it's breeze all the time off the ocean. You never have to sweat enough, you're really working hard. And the island itself is mostly mountainous. They had a rainforest there right above Honolulu, and that was so green you can't believe it. I mean, I had a lot of good days there.
What would you tell someone that's thinking about enlisting in the military now?
Oh, yeah, I'm not sorry I enlisted, no. I didn't want to go to the Army. My uncle went in the Army, and he said that he came out in the desert in tents and luggage and snakes and everything. And after that, I thought, well, no, I had 2 cousins that enlisted in the Navy, and they both didn't sound that bad, so I had my bed to sleep in.
So were your cousins in World War II also?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they were in the Navy?
They were both in the South Pacific.
Okay.
They both were happy they joined the Navy. It was kind of funny, you know, and all that time I was out there, I seen 2 people from this area. One time I was in the middle of Honolulu having lunch, and I seen these 2 swabbies come in, and that one looked at me as he went by, and I looked at him when he went by, and I couldn't, I said, I should know that guy, but, you know, and then about 10 minutes later, he comes back, and he said, shouldn't I know you? And I was thinking the same thing, and as soon as I said, Hal Stone, I said, he was from Whitey, Minnesota, and here, I met him right in the middle of downtown Honolulu. Yeah. And when I got discharged, the same thing happened. When I got down to Fort Snelling, I was having chow down there, and was discharged, and I looked at the next job table, and I said, gee, I know that guy there. And he kind of, you know, he was Howard Golden. He was on his way home from discharge too, so it's somehow you meet different people, in the middle of nowhere.